Greetings, everyone, and welcome. October the 24th, 2025, early morning here in the U.S., and Russia, their cage is officially rattled due to the
Yep.
sanctions. Thank you for being here, everybody. A lot to cover, and we can confirm it. Prof, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it looks like it is. I mean, you understand Russian culture far more than I do, but even as an outsider, it's pretty clear that what's the Shakespearean line? She doth protest too much, right?
Yes.
I think that's
Well,
where we're going.
yesterday, the sanction rhetoric and the application on Rosneft and Lukoil rattled the cages. How do we know?
Hmm.
Putin responded quickly. And then Zelensky, when he was laughing and almost a little gloatish there in Europe, rattled them even further. And now
Hmm.
today we have an onslaught of media coming out of Russia. Some saying this is horrible for us, some saying this is great for us. That's how you know, guys, Russia is rattled. So we're going to cover it all for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing on Professor Gerda's channel and on mine. Let's jump straight to it. This was the first thing that I saw last night that grabbed my attention, and that was understanding. Lukoil, big. Rosneft, huge. So this is the only thing we're going to have to watch for. Rosneft has subsidiaries not only in Germany, but in other nations as well that are interconnected with governments. So this will be a little hurdle that has to be worked through.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how they're going to get around this. I'm sure that Merch is going to try to work whatever diplomatic means he can, but the profits just can't be flowing back to Russia. So if they
Correct.
can figure out some way around that,
Well,
maybe they can work out something. But I don't know how they're going to do that.
one of the things I just want people around the world that watch our channels to understand is you're not talking about just a small company. When you deal
No.
with Rosneft or Rosatom, the nuclear company, and Rosneft, the largest oil company, it's not just a Russian state company. They really have their tentacles and webs in governments around the world. So it'll be interesting, but still, this is good because it exerts pressure. Now,
To give a little
mhm,
perspective, ExxonMobil is like one of our largest stocks. When you think of stocks, you think Microsoft or Apple. Exxon dwarfs things. I mean, as far as their reach, their extent, how large the company is, this is their equivalent of like an ExxonMobil. So
exactly. It's everywhere. So it's good. Everybody's being rattled, and that's what needs to happen. Now, how can we now be very confident in saying the cage of Russia is rattled? Number one, Dmitriev, this is him on the right, on the way to Washington, D.C. for negotiations with Trump team, multiple media reporting. They are stirred up after the sanctions. And as I understand it, Dmitriev will be meeting actually with Witkoff in D.C. initially. I mean, on the
mhm.
plane immediately, gone. It's good. They're
Yeah,
rattled.
yeah. Now the sanctions have be careful with the sanctions. The sanctions have loopholes, but they
Mm-hmm.
may or may not do what they're supposed to do. But that they may has really rattled them. Even if okay, so part of the language in the sanctions is that it's going to take effect on November
November
21st,
21.
and they may be subject to these sanctions. That's not shall be, that's different. And so there's a kind of a weasel clause in there that can allow them not to do it, but it also allows them to do it. And that's what's got them rattled.
This is why Russia is going so aggressive immediately. So, in 30 years' experience learning about Soviet mentality, Russia, KGB world, you name it, when Russia is quiet, they're okay with everything. Just let everything be on cruise control. When they respond the way they've responded over the last 24 hours, they're rattled. So they're trying to get ahead of the game, and you are 100% correct. Get ahead of that November 21st date and make
Mhm.
changes. So Yes, make sure everybody understands that. Now, let's take it a little bit further. Dmitry Peskov, he has made the official statement today. Russia is in full analytical mode and will always do what is best for our nation. Take a listen.
Ну, обычно они
Currently, we are
анализируют те
analyzing
санкции,
the
которые
sanctions
определены, которые
specifically that have been
обнародованы.
announced.
И,
And of
разумеется, мы
course,
будем делать то, что
we will do
наилучшим
what is
образом
in the
соответствует
best
нашим
interest
интересам.
of
Это
our
главное,
nation.
собственно.
That's
Это
the main
главное в
thing,
наших
really. It's
действиях. Мы
key to our
действуем
actions.
в
We're not
первую очередь не
acting
против
against
кого-то,
anyone.
мы
We will
действуем
always
во
do
благо себе.
for our own
Вот и все.
benefit. All right. So that's
Okay.
that's going to toe the company line. When you hear Peskov state, we're analyzing. Let's interpret it. They're rattled because they need to figure out how to now best protect their interest. So in that statement, he's actually telling the truth.
Yeah, and so but the real rub is that you can see this reported from multiple sources now. China and India are looking like and China we even talked about like, maybe we're not gonna take up this Russian oil."
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a significant blow. China's a bigger thing than India. We talk about India way too much as far as the like India takes in a lot. Probably 3 times, 4 or 5 times what the EU takes in. And but China's even larger than that. So when India and China are talking about backing off from Russian oil because of the sanctions, man, that's going to really put a crink in their budget.
That
It's
is
it's gonna
why
it's gonna hurt.
we have to stay on top of it every day. But for today, October the 24th, 2025, we can officially say that their cage, there being Russia, the cage is rattled. Modi coming out this morning saying that he would not be going to the Asiana meetings so that he wouldn't have to see Trump. That was out of Indian news this morning. It's not a part of this update. Modi also saying that Russian oil will continue to be purchased, but it would be in a trickle flow, whatever that means, pushing towards the end of the year. I think right now, this November 21 date's what we're going to be looking for and what unfolds in the meantime. Now, let's go to another reason we can say today that the cage of Russia is rattled, and that is because of Skabeeva. And here she is. This is not a trivial matter. These sanctions will affect us and others as well. For him to suddenly show this type of behavior Trump,
while sitting across the ocean, with all due respect and care for those citizens that have
a good
opinion of him as an ally of our nation,
regarding
this reduced oil profits,
it's a key issue for our budget deficit. War is costly, and they systematically drain our country's funds. Zelensky
Mhm.
attacks our refineries, while Trump sanctions our top oil giants and companies. This will likely cause problems for India and China as well if they face the issues. Who will we sell our oil to? So it's not really straightforward as it seems, and it's hard to dismiss this as just another minor trifling matter. No, it's not trivial, it's not nonsense. Let me ask you a question before you
That was
respond.
something.
That's this
That
morning.
I mean,
Okay?
wow.
Now, how do you know when Russia's cage is rattled? Answer:
Well,
they tell the
when you see
truth.
that.
They tell the truth.
Yeah. Wow. Like, that really was quite an admission. I remember, like, all Russian state media is state controlled, and like she would have to toe the party line. This is not. It's not like just the multiple voices that you see in across like American or other Western media. So, wow.
So,
It's
what
just
Russia does is they mix messages in their state media to keep everyone confused. Okay, this
Mhm.
is how they operate. So the propagandists go to straight truth telling. So we've heard Peskov, who is the press secretary,
Mhm.
say, we are analyzing. The propagandist tells the truth, and the state Duma, well, what do? They lie.
Revenues in Russia are growing regardless of sanctions. But the most important thing that can be said today is that Russia, probably out of necessity, we have gotten off the oil-dependent needle, and if there had been no sanctions, perhaps everything would have continued as before. Therefore, all sanctions aimed at banning something for us are now going to go nowhere. And today, our main budget revenues are not linked to oil and gas revenues, period. In this sense, it serves as further proof of the stability of the Russian budget that is being presented and considered today in the State Duma.
So there you have it. It's so fun to watch when you understand what they're doing. Propagandists tell truth, lawmakers tell lies. Russia's rattled.
And so part of this is that they lie about things that are eminently verifiable. You can try this for yourself at home. Go to ChatGPT and ask them how much what's the estimated share of federal budget revenue from oil and gas in Russia. And then I did this. And so here, 2006 was 47%, 2007, 37%, 2010, 46%. The height was in 2011 through 14 at 50% or more. And then it was back down to 30.9% in 2023, still 30% in 2024. That's a big chunk.
Massive.
Now, he is technically telling the truth that most of it doesn't come from oil and gas. That's right. Most of it doesn't. It comes from other sources. But a third of your budget comes from that. That's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. So,
yeah. So today we can officially say that the cage of Russia is rattled.
They're nervous.
Now, the last couple of things on this, we need to watch this one just a little bit. Just a little bit. This is Whitaker, the United States ambassador to NATO. This is a fair statement, but I want to give a warning here. President Trump is trying to explore ways to continue putting pressure on Vladimir Putin, to continue putting pressure, quite frankly, on Volodymyr Zelensky in order to get both sides to the negotiating table to agree to a ceasefire, Whitaker. Now, that statement is not right and wrong and fair. Whitaker, unfair. Whitaker, you've done a lot of good, strong rhetoric, but you need to get off that line right there. Why are you trying to put the onus on Zelensky? Zelensky has already said, I'm ready for a full ceasefire, and I will meet Vladimir Putin anywhere except Moscow or Belarus. So you don't need it. They're trying to, I don't like that at all, to be honest.
I think this is some kind of marketing ploy trying to show the Russians that we're hard on them and come around to the table, because we're trying to hug them to the table rather than push them to the table by force. I don't think the friendly method of drawing Putin to come talk is going to work.
Well, I would have preferred, and I think it would have been more effective, because the cage is rattled now, if this statement would have read, President Trump is trying to explore ways to continue putting pressure on Vladimir Putin. Quite frankly, Volodymyr Zelensky is ready for ceasefire talks.
Yeah.
He has offered them many times. Come to the table, Putin. Something of that nature.
No, I agree with you, but I think there's intentional tactic here that is not going to work out, but that's what they're trying to accomplish.
Well,
And
where does
again,
that leave us
work.
today as we're kind of getting going here in the U.S. on October the 24th? Right here. Wait and see. We see a lot of things happening. We've got the mixture of the flags there. And not only do we see the cage of Russia now rattled, that's, I think, validated for you guys today in this video so far, but America's got a lot of irons in the fire right now, whether it's, heat over the White House, whether it's ICE, Venezuela, potential land strikes.
No, that's going to, something's kicking off there.
Huge deal. And I remind you that Russia and Venezuela have a multiple pacts and agreements, security agreements. So that's interesting. And this morning, overnight, we've got Trump cutting off all trade talks with Canada because they posted a Ronald Reagan no tariff video. So there's a lot going on. So for Ukraine, we wait and see. I will tell you, the front's tough. It's tough. Woke up to some not so good news this morning, but this is why we must stand firm and not back down. So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Thanks, Prof.
Thank you.
Yep. Appreciate each and every one of you. And put a little smile on your face today, everybody. Russia's cage is rattled. We'll be back at you later.
Yep.
Be blessed.